Another development we're following. Two leading Turkish journalists from the liberal newspaper Cumhuriyet have been placed in custody and are currently awaiting trial after President Erdogan demanded their prosecution for espionage and treason. RT's Ilya Petrenka is in Istanbul.
They have been escorted from the courtroom, although the prison term has not been announced. And it's feared that that could be decades behind bars or even life imprisonment. Now, what many saw as President Erdogan's personal vendetta against those journalists appears to be carried out. Just to remind you, the trial began after last May. The newspaper dared to publish what appeared to be photo and video evidence of arms being smuggled through the Turkish-Syrian border to some groups inside Syria, to some unknown groups. Now, allegedly, the operation was carried out by members of the MIT, Turkey's intelligence service. Now, it was first reported that the individuals inside the trucks that are seen on this video refused to identify themselves. However, later it turned out that they were MIT members. We cannot independently verify the authenticity of that video. However, what can be seen inside those trucks is enormous amounts of ammunition, thousands of mortar shells, and also tens of thousands ammunition rounds. Now, again, just to remind you, shortly after this report came out on Cumhuriyet's front page late May, President Erdogan appeared live on TV and accused the journalists of espionage and treason, and also warned them of serious consequences. So it appears that what we're seeing right now, this trial and the outcome of this trial, are those serious consequences. Well, shortly after it was announced that the journalists are found guilty, we heard from Can Dündar, the editor-in-chief of Cumhuriyet himself.
We came here to defend journalism. We came here to defend the right of the public to obtain the news and their right to know if the government is feeding them lies.
The journalists that I've been speaking to here in Istanbul are saying that it is a terrible day for freedom of speech in this country, and they fear that if this trial ends in such a verdict with a very long prison sentence or even life imprisonment for the two journalists, in that case, it will simply be the end of freedom of speech in Turkey.
Now, another journalist, Pelin Batu, was in court when the two reporters were being indicted. She says they're being punished by the Turkish government for simply doing their jobs.
What they said was very simple. They said that we're pacifists, we don't want any involvement in war, we don't want to poke our noses into any country's business, and what our government did was just that. So we were actually being patriotic when we basically decided to publish this news. So in my opinion, and as a journalist who's worked with them for many years now, I have collaborated with Can Dündar on many walks, be it television or this very newspaper. I personally believe that it was done in the interest of the country.
Let's remember that last month, on the eve of parliamentary elections in Turkey, several opposition media outlets found themselves targeted by the authorities. The office of one TV channel in Istanbul was raided and its broadcast was briefly suspended. Officials cited an investigation over allegations of terror links. That particular channel is linked to an exiled rival of President Erdogan. The crackdown sparked protests over the suppression of media freedom in the country. We spoke to freelance journalist Natalie Carney, who's based in Istanbul. She says the Turkish government has a grip on the country's media and it appears to be tightening.
They knew when they published the story this was going to be incredibly sensitive, and they knew that something might arise from this, as it did. And they were, quickly called by the prosecutor to come to testify in the courts. But they do stand by their position that they were only doing their job and their duty as journalists to alert the public of what is going on. And this, however, does not seem to be the position the government holds. Turkey does have a lot of grip. The government has a lot of grip on all aspects of Turkish society and the structure of it. I could say it's becoming more tightening. Yeah, I would say it's becoming more tightening just by seeing the higher frequency of journalists that are being questioned for their work.
I'm the leading state sponsor of terrorism.